Hi, this is Ivan and welcome to the channel. Got another little segment here at Flight Expo 2023. So far this has been a great weekend and this is crazy. I'm at a booth. I'm talking to this gentleman here. Is it Mike or Michael?
Mike works.
Mike, and I'm listening to him talk about some gear that he's looking at, and I hear the voice and I'm like, holy crap, this is OverKill Simulations, and I have learned so much from this guy's channel. I'm a subscriber. You should be a subscriber. Mike, tell me how you got started. How did this begin for you?
Well, the channel actually started as a way to teach.
Right.
My channel started with DCS World, and DCS World, as you may know, probably has the largest learning curve of any simulator that I've seen.
It is very detailed.
It's intense. And even being an aviation enthusiast, since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, I just didn't have the knowledge to get going. And so it was really, really frustrating. There was a couple times where I almost wanted to quit out of it. You know, I really thought about it. And then and I would search on YouTube, and there just wasn't a whole lot of content out there, a lot of tutorials at that time.
Sure.
Now it's really banged away. But so that's where the channel started, was just me making tutorials of teaching people things that I've learned to try to stunt that learning curve a little bit and make it a bit easier to get into things, with posting on the forums and things like that. And then it just progressed from there.
So we're just coming out of the pandemic and everybody was stuck at the house. Do you feel like you got a lot of growth in your channel during that time? I think that's when I came across you. You were doing, was it high performance group helicopter stuff?
Probably,
yeah.
the H-145, yeah,
I think that's where I came across.
Yeah, so I would say it definitely made a difference, but Microsoft Flight Simulator in general is where I really saw the bang.
Okay.
When Microsoft Flight Simulator first launched, day one, I was pumping out videos, and from there it just took off and became what it is before, in this awesome community.
It was an interesting timing with the release, because I think they went live, was it August of 2020?
August of 2020.
So 6 months again into the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I was lucky. I only found out about it like a month before.
Wow.
Yeah, and I had, you know, I was back in the 80s with the original Flight Sim, and it had the like Hancock in Chicago, and it was nuts. But then when I come across this trailer for Flight Simulator 2020, I'm like, holy cow, this has really come a long way. Then they brought out helicopters, and then again, that's when I found you. I love that your tutorials, first of all, they seem to be timely. So you are almost, without a doubt, something new happens, you're almost one of the first guys to get stuff out.
I try.
I mean,
I'm definitely all over it.
So how much time are you putting in on these videos? Is this like around the clock? Is it kind of like your boss from your other job, like, hey, you're supposed to be here?
So my day job runs from typically about 5 a.m. Pacific time to 2 p.m. afternoon. The YouTube thing, I'm usually out of the office by anywhere from 9:30 to 10:30 at night.
Okay.
Give you some perspective there. But it really depends on what the content is, right? It depends on what that new release is. Is it a tutorial, or am I just showcasing? Is it something that I can get away with just doing the hot start and have some fun?
Right.
Like that scrapyard aircraft I did the other day, that was a ton of fun.
Okay.
But you know, like the more in-depth tutorials, you know, your A320s, the Longitude, the TBM 930, those definitely take a lot more time.
I mean,
because I don't like to leave anything out of my videos, even the mistakes. You know, I don't edit those out, because if I edit those out, what am I teaching?
Right.
You know, we learn through mistakes, not through perfection, right? So some of those can take 5-6 hours by the time it's actually out the door.
Oh, sure. Like when I do my videos, I'm not much of an editor. I don't use a teleprompter. I just get up there and I wing it, which means I finish the video and I'm like, oh, I left a ton of stuff out. And so either I'll do another video, but I agree, I like it that it just flows.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just sitting in the room with you, and we're talking about stuff and you're running me through it, and to do that. And again, your videos have been very, very helpful. What do you think about this? Is this your first one of these?
No, this is absolutely amazing. So my first time I ever went to Flight Sim Expo was actually back in Las Vegas. So I want to say that was 2018, 2017, somewhere in that range maybe. I think it was 2018. And that was an amazing show.
Sure.
This one is far superior, far larger, way more traffic here than what I saw at the Vegas one.
Okay.
And then obviously it's kind of cool that now people recognize me. So this has been a hoot. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of fun, guys. But this has been a really awesome experience. Like even you coming up and saying hi, that was a really warm feeling. But everyone seems real cool. It's nice being around so many people with such the same interest. I mean, call it what it is. We're all geeks, and I love it. Like this is just such an awesome gathering.
It's cool because not only is it's the same, but yet it's different.
Yeah.
You mentioned DCS, and they definitely have DCS has a strong following. First of all, you do have to invest the time. It's not just an arcade get up and play.
No.
If you really want to get what's out of it, you got to put in the time. Then you got people who are pilots in real life, and they're here because they're learning either how to be a pilot, or maybe they're maintaining some skills. Then you got the crowd, like the VAT Sim folks are here.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've spent any time on their network, but it's
once or twice, but yeah, not a lot.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying.
You know what's funny about that? The funny thing about VAT Sim and me being quote unquote terrified, it's really goofy, because I actually for a long time used Pilot Edge.
Okay.
And Pilot's Edge, for anyone who may not know, is real-world air traffic controllers. It's actually a paid subscription to be a part of their service.
It is.
I think they just service the West Coast. But it's real-world air traffic controllers that if you mess up, if you do something like bust your altitude, something dangerous, they will actually make you either restart it or terminate the service. And I did that for a long time, flying the 737 of all things.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, but like VAT Sim, every time I think about getting back into it, just like, I get nervous. So I don't know, but it is something that we're going to be looking into.
I'm on Pilot Edge too. I like about Pilot Edge is they do, I actually have a PPL, and I fly out of a very small airport, a Cessna. And I will say one advantage, I think they're both great services, Pilot Edge and VAT Sim, but I like the fact that Pilot Edge has small airports.
Yes.
You can replicate that. I don't fly the big planes. Yeah. I'm not anywhere close to flying the big planes. It's complicated.
Actually, I think you'll find when it comes to the procedures, and once you get the flows down, the commercial aircraft are in many ways simpler.
But I imagine coming from DCS, you're used to the checklist, the detail.
Yeah.
I think the mindset is there.
Sure.
Where you're coming from. I mean, even if I do a cold start on a Cessna 172, brother, I mean, I'm, 7 minutes later, I'm good to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even in real life, it's not that long.
No.
But then you get on, a tube, and that's a lot to do.
Yeah.
So I think that mindset has helped a lot. Have you, with some of the vendors around here, are you more connecting with the hardware guys or the software guys, or
a little bit of both? But definitely today's primary focus has been a lot of the hardware that I've been interacting with. Yeah. It's always real exciting to get your hands on. The hands-on is everything, right? So that definitely enhances the experience quite a bit. We
just met at the Virpil tent or area, cubicle, whatever you want to call it. And I got to say, you got people like Virpil. I've got a few Winwing pieces. I actually have a couple of reviews up on my channel. But I love that metal, like the construction. It's heavy. Like you could carry that as like a weapon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a hammer. And I love it that people are bringing this type of gear. It's not so plasticky. That's not so, I hate to say cheap, because people put a lot of hard time and effort into developing these products. But there
is a level.
There is.
There is a level.
I mean, just holding it.
Yeah.
Just putting your foot on those pedals, and you're like, this feels different.
Well, and that's absolutely the kicker. When if the second that you wrap your hand around any kind of controller or piece of hardware that you're going to put your money in, and you can't wait to let go of it, it's something that you got to be thinking of as a developer too.
And I get a lot of comments on that, about tell me about this Winwing piece. It's because, tell me about it, is the price and all that. So I think people are starting to catch on. And again, I'm not trying to knock the vendors with cheaper products, but I think people are like, gosh, if I just save a little bit more money, I'm into a much higher tier of gear.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
It is.
And you're already putting in the time and effort with the software. And your time is worth money. I mean, in a way,
Sure.
And so why not connect to it with something that's a little more solid?
Yeah, it's definitely worth the investment if you're going to be sticking with it, definitely. But I think that's the other catch too, is you have to be asking yourself, what are you looking to get out of the simulation?
That's true.
It really has to come from a perspective of, here's how deep I want to get into this, here's how real I want it to feel. But if you're just looking for someone who's coming from more of an arcade standpoint, then maybe like the Virpil stuff or something of that quality of level isn't, maybe for you. And I think that's always the catch. That's something I always pitch when it comes to these high dollar items, is be asking yourself, what are you looking for? Are you looking for that experience?
But that's where guys like you come in, and maybe even guys like me, where maybe we're reviewing a piece of gear, a piece of kit, and there's somebody out there, because you can just go to a local store and try this stuff out.
Yeah.
And some of this stuff, example, the Winwing stuff, that's coming from China.
Yeah.
The return process is going to be different.
Yep.
And so if they can come to somebody with some credibility, like, okay, this guy steered me in the right direction on this last piece of gear, I'm going to listen to what they have to say on this other one.
Yeah,
so that's really
Absolutely.
good. What are your plans for the channel? What's the future bringing for?
So we got a lot of things moving forward with the channel. We got some new hardware that's still on its way.
Okay.
We have some new VR tech that we're going to be taking a look at.
All right.
Possibly some new motion simulation stuff coming down the line. We're going to be looking at, there's some really cool software that has been developed, that has been showcased here, where Tim is bridging American Truck Simulator, Euro Truck Simulator with Microsoft Flight Simulator, creating actual cargo routes. You take your truck, you deliver it to the airport, you drop your cargo off, a flight plan is then generated and taken off. So we're going to definitely be taking a further look into that. They have one of the booths actually right around the corner across from Virpil. I highly recommend you check them out.
We'll have to check that out.
Yeah, you'll see it because they have a big monitor with a truck going by. But really slick stuff there. Looking at bringing American Truck Simulator, looking at bringing DCS back. We're going to be branching out quite a bit this year, really expanding the views. So hopefully everyone loves it.
And I was talking to your production manager earlier, and she said that you're going to be more in the videos. If she's bringing your
we're starting to look at
camera and things.
We're starting to look at some more FaceTime. Yeah. It's finally time you guys get to deal with this face.
You got to see the mug, man.
That's it. The mug's going to be on.
Well, Mike, I appreciate your time,
Absolutely.
man. This has been wonderful.
Absolutely.
And again, subscribe to OverKill Simulations. Great channel.
Same thing, guys. Ivan Sky. Make sure you guys look it up. Make sure you guys tag me on the video so the video gets out.
We'll talk to you later.
Take care, guys. Thanks.
Perfect.